Most men think strength comes from control over others. Marcus Aurelius knew something far more dangerous. Real power comes from control over yourself. Marcus Aurelius was one of the most powerful men in history. Emperor of Rome, commander of armies, ruler of millions. And yet, his greatest strength had nothing to do with power, violence, or domination. It was his mind. He was mentally untouchable. Not because nothing happened to him, but because nothing could own him. Marcus Aurelius lived in chaos, war on multiple fronts, betrayal inside his own circle, plagues, death, loss, pressure, beyond anything most men will ever experience. And still he remained calm, clear, unmoved, not numb, not weak, but disciplined. The first reason Marcus Aurelius was mentally untouchable is simple, but brutal to accept. He understood that you don't control events, you control your response. Most men waste their lives fighting reality. They argue with what already happened. They resist facts. They complain, react, panic. Marcus Aurelius did none of that. He accepted reality instantly. Not because he liked it, but because resistance is weakness. When something happened, his first question was never, "Why me?" It was, "What is required of me now?" That single shift makes a man unbreakable. You cannot manipulate someone who does not resist reality. You cannot destabilize someone who accepts the moment fully and moves forward. This is mental immunity. The second reason Marcus Aurelius was untouchable is that he separated events from judgments. Most men confuse what happens with what it means. They think an insult damages them. They think failure defines them. They think loss diminishes them. Marcus Aurelius understood that events are neutral. Meaning is optional. An insult is just sound. A setback is just circumstance. A loss is just a fact. The suffering begins when you attach ego, fear, or identity to it. He trained himself to remove interpretation, to see things as they are, not as his emotions wanted them to be. When you master this, people lose their power over you. No provocation works, no manipulation sticks, no emotional bait hooks you. You become unreachable. The third reason Marcus Aurelius was mentally untouchable is that he did not need validation. This is critical. Most men are slaves to approval. They want to be admired, respected, loved. Marcus Aurelius already had status, power, and recognition, and yet he actively trained himself to let go of the need for praise. He reminded himself daily that applause is temporary, reputation is fragile, and opinions are worthless. When you stop needing validation, you stop being controllable. People can no longer flatter you into bad decisions. They can no longer shame you into reactions. They can no longer threaten your identity. A man who does not need approval is free, and a free man is dangerous. The fourth reason Marcus Aurelius was untouchable is that he practiced emotional restraint relentlessly. He did not suppress emotions. He observed them. He understood that emotions are impulses, not commands. They rise, they fall, they pass. Most men are dragged by their emotions like animals on a leash. Anger decides for them. Fear controls them. Ego blinds them. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to pause. Between stimulus and response, he created space. And in that space, he chose discipline. That pause is everything. That pause is the difference between reaction and power, between chaos and control, between a weak man and an untouchable one. The fifth reason Marcus Aurelius was mentally untouchable is that he remembered how small he was. This sounds counterintuitive, but it is one of the most powerful mental weapons ever developed. He constantly reminded himself that he was temporary, that Rome would continue without him, that history would forget him, that death was inevitable. Most men are crippled by their ego. They think everything is about them. Every insult, every loss, every disagreement. Marcus Aurelius dissolved his ego by remembering the scale of the universe. When nothing is personal, nothing can hurt you deeply. You stop overreacting. You stop defending imaginary threats. You stop wasting energy on trivial nonsense. You become calm, focused, unshakable. The sixth reason Marcus Aurelius was untouchable is that he lived by principles, not moods. This separates boys from men. Most men live emotionally. They act based on how they feel today, motivated one day, lazy the next, disciplined only when convenient. Marcus Aurelius lived by rules he had chosen consciously. He did the right thing even when it felt unpleasant. He remained calm even when angry. He acted justly even when wronged. When your behavior is governed by principles, you become predictable to yourself and unpredictable to others. No one can manipulate your mood. No one can push you off your path. You become internally sovereign. The final reason Marcus Aurelius was mentally untouchable is perhaps the most important of all. He trained his mind daily. He did not read philosophy to feel smart. He wrote to himself to stay disciplined. His writings were not meant for others. They were reminders, warnings, corrections. He knew the mind decays without training, just like the body. Most men consume content. Marcus Aurelius conditioned his mind. That is why he stayed calm under pressure. That is why he could rule without losing himself. That is why chaos never entered his core. He was not born untouchable. He built it. And that is the real lesson. Mental strength is not genetic. It is trained. You don't become untouchable by winning arguments. You become untouchable by mastering your reactions. You don't become strong by dominating others. You become strong by dominating yourself. Marcus Aurelius was untouchable because he refused to give the world access to his inner state. And once you understand that, you stop trying to control life, and you start controlling yourself. That is real power. Welcome to Dominus Mind.